Okay, so when would you use this? When might you use this? And don't pay too much attention to the proportions here, but roughly some of your WebGIS users are going to need your network. They're going to need to do tracing and all that sort of really fancy stuff that utilities do. And for those ones, we'll just steer clear of them for the moment, because that's the hardest stuff. So give them SciAS and GNetViewer and things like that. The vast majority of your WebGIS users, though, probably just need location. They just need to know where your assets are, what they're near, what property they're near, what's next to them. And then you've got, perhaps you might have your data out on the internet as well. So for the vast majority, you can look at a Google Maps based solution, is my contention. How? Simplest route, Google Maps and a few place markers. There's a great example on the City of Sydney website. City of Sydney, very big ESRI customer, used to drive Brett Bundock mad that on their internet site they used Google Maps to show where development applications were. Best tool. I used to be the product manager of Deco and at ESRI Australia, and in a couple of years of trying, we couldn't come up with a better solution for them. It was still there today. That screenshot was there from yesterday. Google Fusion Table, something you guys may not have come across. It's only recently come out, and it's something I'll give a little demo of. It's a terrific thing. It sits sort of midway between just grabbing the Google Maps and putting a few place markers on with a few API calls, a few JavaScript calls, and the bottom sort of the full-on thing where you're using Google Maps API and building on top of that some sort of custom product, like again UbiSense Smallworld. This is an AutoCAD Fusion API, I think it's called, or perhaps the V Plus thing from Geomatic Technologies I was talking about with Ross just before. Similar sort of idea. Take the base API, build some serious functionality on top of it. Word of caution, this is Google Maps here. You can see that straight away from that nice cartography that you'd recognise. But to get to something, I've still got all these layers. I've got this is my attribute window over here. To get to Street View, I've got to get through one of these buttons. So they're kind of using Google Maps, but they've lost the plot. I think this is a much better implementation over here. Still very recognisably Google. We've got the same Google interface here for zooming and panning. We've got the map buttons up there. Street View available down here. And a few nice big icons to get to the more sophisticated functionality. Okay, I'm going to try a demo on Google Fusion Tables. There we go. Come on. Yep. Great. Okay. So Google Fusion Tables is all about putting in data, uploading it into Google's cloud, and then they take your data and generate the tiles for you. And those tiles are then displayed over the map. There's lots of public data you can go and have a look at some point, but I'm going to put in a new table, and I'll just import a CSV file. This CSV file is it's the locations of all mobile phone towers in the ACT. There's about 600 of them. It's a comma-separated file. Now, desktop. There we go. Yeah. You can see from there you can load in Excel files, and you can also load up KML. So in a CSV file, I've got two columns in here, latitude and longitude. Those are going to give it the location. You can see it's already recognised those, and it's brought in a bit of the file. If you send up KML, you can also get lines and polygons as well. Okay, I'm happy with all of that. I'll just hit next. And yep, finish. Okay, so there's my table loaded up. We've got latitude and longitude, and one of my options, I can just visualise this on a map. Yeah, you can see the tiles coming in as I zoom in. It's generated the tiles that match the Google Maps tiles at all layers, all levels, all zoom levels. But these are interactive, so I can click on something and find out. Now I've just uploaded about 600 rows. You can upload massive amounts of data using this, and so it scales incredibly well. You can pick the symbology, which is somewhere here. Edit. No. Sorry, I've lost it. Configure styles, here we are. Pick different things. You can also, use a certain column, do some thematic mapping, all sorts of stuff. Something I learned from this, actually, if we just go out a bit. Java SPA is actually considered part of the ACT. There we go. So that could be, your outages, a bit of, development applications. They obviously had to get some custom script written for this sort of thing. But literally within a few seconds, I've uploaded some data and got a map, and I can share that URL, and people can see it. It's much faster. Oh, the other thing you can do with Fusion Tables is you get a URL access to update each row. So if you for example, put up the current location of trucks or something like that, and you could just update those through the web, and it would move the dots and regenerate the tiles for you. Brilliant. And again, down to the sort of larger scale option. Okay, if you can't use Google Maps, or you really don't want to sort of adopt one of those sort of solutions, then what I'd say is we can still learn some lessons from that. If you're on the web, if you're providing GIS to web users, just support workflows. Don't try and reproduce the whole desktop GIS experience. Yes, GIS is more, there is much more to GIS, but leave that to the desktop, leave that to the administrators. If they need to do full-on ad hoc analysis, give them ArcMap or whatever you've got, GeoMedia. And pay attention to user experience. ESRI, I've got the idea right here with, they're producing some really, really good base maps, which are free now. Quite often Bing Maps is free to use now, so you've got really good base maps, and you lay your operational data over the top of that. Imagery is very popular as well. People relate better to imagery, obviously. Make sure your system's fast. Sounds obvious, but people don't like waiting 15 seconds for maps to turn up. And keep the user interface simple and clean as you can, and support the job that they need to do, rather than just giving everybody a general purpose tool. There's no point having a general purpose tool where everybody can turn on and off the biodiversity layer if there's only 2 people in the whole organisation that work with biodiversity. So there we go. Okay, that's all. I won't keep you from your drinks any further. Thanks a lot. Any questions or no?
How do you find the pricing on Google?
Well, to use something like this is an annual subscription of, it's of the order of 10, 20,000 a year. It's not expensive compared to license costs of a ArcGIS server or a web Intergraph web map or something like that. So that's why I think in one of the previous slides I said, the licensing costs in fact do go down, even though it's an annual subscription. Yep.
That's the price. Depend on the transaction or just one free license? Doesn't matter how many transactions you have.
It gives you some absurd amount of transactions, like 40 million or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, have you done any work on consuming Fusion table tiles outside of the Google Maps API, like outside of rendering the?
Yes, you can. Rather than just going into Fusion and ticking, visualize on a map, you can use the Google Maps API to bring in Fusion tiles across here. But it takes 2 lines.
You've got the same tiling structure, your own tiling structure.
Yep.
You can use Fusion.
Yeah. So Google Maps version 3 API, you can add on Fusion tiles. You can also add on your own sort of tile class, if you like, which is how these guys do it. Yeah, very simple. 2-3 lines of code to bring in a Fusion table.
Do you think that cutting the tiles, it must be cutting the tiles dynamically, right?
Yeah,
But,
well,
it's not at the point of upload of that data.
no, it's at the point of upload, which is, you may or may not have seen, it said, when I first went to the map, it said 13% done or something like this, and then it all disappeared and it was done. When I test ran this yesterday, a couple of the tiles came up, it said data still being generated.
Right, okay.
Please refresh in a minute or something like that. Yeah.
So because I've seen an example where you can filter. So say for example,
That's right. You can do yes.
You can filter.
Yep. It generates the tiles.
It must be generated.
Yep.
Yeah.
On demand, basically, but then keeps them.
So at the back end, you point about Google's infrastructure is better than your IT's infrastructure. Is very important there, right?
That's right.
How quickly can you generate tiles on your IT infrastructure?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Obviously, the symbology that Fusion provided was a limited subset.
Yeah.
If you